It's hard to find enough words to describe a man of the caliber of Lawrence Davies. He is intelligent, energetic. He was a collegial leader. He worked with people to get things done.
He's the kind of leader that we need today, the kind of person who would bring folks together. And I think he brought people together.
He has a calming influence, but don't get him started. If you see him get upset, the whole room stops and goes, oh, we really need to listen now because you've caught this attention. You've upset the most gentle soul in the room. And so we really need to pay attention to that.
When one thinks of the last half of the 20th century, that was a tumultuous time. Whether it be civil rights, whether it be economic, no matter what the issue was, he was present. He was available. He was thoughtful. When the history of Fredericksburg is written 100 years from now, I think people will say that in many respects he saved Fredericksburg.
My first interaction with him personally was when he was a member of the Council on Human Relations. When he was voted on City Council, it was the first African American. And it was after the Martin Luther King assassination that the riots took place throughout the country. The riot in Washington brought about people who were rioting coming down to Fredericksburg. And so we had some young African-American males who were interested in going downtown just to raise hell, so to speak, break a few windows and all of that. Well, along comes Reverend Davies. He said, where are they? Who is that want action? I said, so what are you talking about? He said, just tell them I'll meet them in the hall one by one if they want action. He loved the city so much that he didn't want to see dumbness take place. He could have stood back and said, well, there's a lot of unfair treatment of African Americans, and what the heck, go on downtown and do that. He believed in just common sense approaches to things, even at discrimination, segregation, what have you. And that's the kind of person he was.
I came here as principal of Walker Grant Middle School. It's been a black school. It was in a section of town that a lot of white families didn't want to send their children down there. But Reverend Davies was one of the black leaders who helped us make that work and make it go. And he's always been there for me as a professional and as an individual. His impact has been enormous to the city. He's been a great leader in so many ways.
When I came in 1992, what we now call the new Mary Washington Hospital was under construction. He was instrumental in working with the Board of Trustees at that point in time to convince the board that keeping Mary Washington Hospital in the city of Fredericksburg was important. That turned out to be absolutely correct, and it has made all the difference in the world. If he said he was going to do something, he did it. If he said he couldn't do something, he would tell you why, or he would work with you to find another solution. His word was his bond, and his bond was his word. You could trust him.
Had an opportunity to meet him, and was very impressed with his grace, his humanity, his humility, and that certain steely strength that was underneath it all. So I asked him to chair a committee at the college, a council of African American leaders to help the college do a better job of reaching African American students. We were doing okay, but we could do better. And in part because of his leadership and the people on that committee, the percentage of African American and other minority students at Germanna has pretty much doubled.
I think of him as a piece of Fredericksburg, a piece of civil humanity, and a friend of Rappahannock Goodwill, a friend of people with disabilities. He was an organizing, early on founding board member of the organization, and when he would join a board, he had the gravitas to indicate to the community, this is serious business. He's an exemplar in my book.
I know Reverend Davies when he came to be the pastor of the church that I belong to. He's kind and he's gentle, but valiant. I think of a person who is a community leader, a man of strong faith in God, serving his community and family and friends.
He's a godly man, and he has given his life of service over 50 years in transforming folks' lives into believing in God and building their faith. Being the first African-American mayor and to be in that role longer than any other mayor speaks volumes to how much respect he had and how people valued what he was able to do in that role.
Through his entire life, Lawrence has always cared deeply about the underserved. One of his big, deep, strong issues was the issue of transportation for those who had no car, had no way to get to the doctor, no way to get to their jobs, no way to get to the grocery store. Well, 20 years ago, Fredericksburg did start the Fredericksburg transit system. When nobody else was talking about it, he was talking about it and pushing and pushing and pushing. He set a real standard for our mayors going forward.
I don't think I would have been successful in my campaign had it not been for Mayor Davies. His example of kindness and peace and serenity just helped me a lot individually to react to challenges and hopefully made me a better person.
When I considered running for public office, he was the first person I went to see. And I asked his advice, and we discussed the possibility of my candidacy, and it was with his support and encouragement that I ran for city council in 2008. You trust his integrity because he follows his convictions. He is willing to listen to others and hear others and understand others.
We elected him to serve on city council, and I think he was there for 10 years. Then for 20 years, he was elected to serve as mayor. That tells you something about what the people in this community felt about him, how they cared about him.
Before I worked at the chamber, I ran Mayor Tomczek's campaign, and it was considered a long shot, and we had an upset victory, which was a great win for business in the Fredericksburg region. And I got this card in the mail a few days later that I've kept. So he talks about the campaign, but at the end of this note, he says, "As to your future, I think the people of this area ain't seen nothing yet. Congratulations and keep up the good work. Lawrence A. Davies." And this meant more to me than I can express well in words to you.
Tremendous amount of humility. He's almost apologetic when he gets awards or when he gets positive comments made about him. I think he has been a good example for Fredericksburg.
I know of really no one in the Fredericksburg community, and that's hard to say for a man who was in politics for so long, who did not respect Lawrence Davies.
He has provided the kind of leadership that enables us to keep our head not only above water but proud. I personally am inspired by him, and in a very modest way, I can say I try to emulate him.
When Mayor Davies spoke, you listened because you know it wasn't self-serving with what he was saying. It was for the good of the community and the good of individuals.
in this community feel like everyone feels like they have a place at the table and are valued and their views matter. And he's helped to facilitate that. He's been a great man in our community, and I'm just proud to have had an opportunity to have lived in the same lifetime, to have been able to be in his company.
He would end every invocation with those benedictive words, to all that is good and holy. And I think in many respects, those words describe Mayor Davies.